Hi, I'm Brian Malow, and we are live from the 73rd Annual Lindau Nobel Laureate meeting, a meeting that is quickly drawing to a close. Tonight was the last full day of scientific programming, although we have one really fun final day tomorrow where we're going to go to a beautiful little island of Minot Island, and we're only going to have one scientific panel discussion, and then the rest is just social, which is what's going on right now. The programming really ended today, and it's Bavarian evening. This Thursday night is always the Bavarian evening, and it was pretty fun, right?
Great time.
A lot of people are dressed in Bavarian clothes, and other people are dressed in clothing from other cultures. So this year, it's a physics meeting at Lindau. You know what? Could we get a little level? Yeah. Didn't want you standing behind her, but. It's a physics meeting, and there are about 35 Nobel laureates here this week, and 630 young scientists from about 90 countries. So I'm speaking to two of them right here, Kudla, yes, and Collins Edet. And we have an interesting connection because one of the interesting aspects of the Lindau meeting is that the process that the young scientists go through to get invited. There are nominating organizations all over the world, and there's a new, I don't know if it's an academic partner or a new nominating agency entity, which is Sigma Xi, the Scientific Research Honor Society. They happen to be based in North Carolina, where I am, and so I've done a lot of work with Sigma Xi, and these are the two first Sigma Xi candidates that have been invited to the Lindau meeting. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Katie and Colin. So let me ask you a little bit about you and your science and a little bit about your impressions of the meeting now that it's almost over. So Katie, you're an astrophysicist?
Yes.
Excellent. And what do you study?
So I look at specifically galaxies and how they form and evolve through time. So I just finished my undergraduate and got my bachelor's a month ago maybe, and I did two different projects. So in the first 3 years of college, I worked on reconstructing one of the relations that exists in astronomy called the baryonic Tully-Fisher relation, and we looked
Which we're all familiar with.
Oh yes, simple stuff. No, we looked at spiral galaxies, specifically galaxies that host supernovae, and we were in the middle of an observing program with the Green Bank Observatory in West Virginia.
What's the point of observing that? What are you looking for?
We're looking at the neutral hydrogen in each of these galaxies.
Why?
Because we can gauge first how quick they're rotating and their gas masses, which we can incorporate their stellar masses then too, and both of those quantities, stellar and gas mass combined, which makes baryonic mass, rotational velocity, these are both what make the baryonic Tully-Fisher relation.
And Collins, you're also a physicist. You're more of a quantum mechanics guy, right?
Yeah.
So that's a subject that gets complicated very quickly, Collins, but can you tell me a little bit about what you actually work on? And wait, you, where are you? Katie just finished her undergrad, and you are a PhD student?
Yeah.
How close are you? How far do you have to go?
Yeah, let's see, about a year to go.
Excellent. And so tell me something about your research.
All right, so I'm Collins Edet, as Brian already said, and I'm schooling in Malaysia, PhD student focusing on theoretical physics at the Institute of Engineering Mathematics, University of Malaysia, Perlis. So my research actually focuses on hybrid quantum systems. So basically we're trying to harness these systems for quantum thermal applications. So it's more like an effort contributing to quantum technological development. So a current challenge is actually designing energy efficient quantum thermal machines. So my goal as a theorist is to kind of try to assess how certain thermodynamic processes happen in this system and how we can control this using quantum control techniques. And then I believe that at the end of the day, we could have actually, this could help us in designing energy efficient machines, quantum machines.
Why are you laughing so hard already?
Yeah, because I know sometimes a lot of people say it's a hype.
Yeah. So let me ask you, so Collins, you are working in Malaysia now?
Yeah.
And, but you're originally from Nigeria?
Yeah, I am from Nigeria.
How far, tell me about your academic path. Did you always know you wanted to be a scientist?
Okay, for physics, actually, I didn't really know because my parents wanted me to be an engineer. But I got attracted to physics from my secondary school teacher. So in secondary school is like what we call, I think, high school in the US.
Yeah.
So it's my secondary school teacher at the time. It was quite nice, and he started calling me physicist. So I said, okay, I'd love to bear this name or this title. And then I got interested, and then got into university to do my bachelor's in physics, and then I got interested even more when I started getting exposed to concepts, and I was more attracted to the physics. And then I said, okay, I'd love to be a theorist. And I moved on to do a master's, and today I'm going for a PhD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's excellent. And I should say the Lindau Nobel Laureate meeting is all about mentorship.
Yeah.
And that's why we have the Nobel laureates and we have the young scientists. The young scientists have to be under the age of 35, basically, because it's about mentorship. And if you're too far along in your career, it doesn't make sense. So there are postdocs here. There are PhD students here, there are grad students here, and there are some undergrads. And so you're like just moving into your PhD program.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And did you always know you wanted to be a scientist?
Actually, no. Growing up, I always liked math. And then luckily in 9th grade, most people take physics towards the end of high school. I took it 9th grade, and my physics teacher, she was super theatrical, super exciting, and she got me so fascinated in physics. And I continued taking AP higher level physics classes, went on undergrad, started research, luckily my freshman year too of college, which was really great. And then I switched my project. I did an REU at Santa Barbara last year. So I'm still working with galaxies, but a different project than the one I discussed. And I got into Santa Barbara for PhD, so I'll be going there this fall.
Excellent. And before we talk about the meeting, I want to ask you about just science in general and your love of science. I'm assuming you enjoy and like science. It seems like you do. What is it that Katie, what do you love about science and your science?
So it's actually funny. What first got me interested in physics was the, I guess, applicable and relatable math. So you're learning certain things that tie in with your everyday life. When you're walking around, you see a ball get thrown and you can figure out what's happening, physically speaking. But then now what's interesting me more is, I guess, like this more abstract side of physics. There's like this other layer that makes it almost like an art form where it's not so clear cut. Yeah. And that I think is really exciting. So I think where those two come together, you have astrophysics.
Yeah. And Collins, let me ask you a slightly different question, which is, not everyone in the world loves their job and is excited to wake up in the morning and go work on it. But so many scientists here are excited to get up and go to the lab. You work in a lab, I'm guessing?
No,
Collins?
I don't go to a lab, theorist.
You don't go to a lab? You're a theorist. So you sit at a computer,
yeah.
You sit in front of a pen and paper?
Yeah.
Really? And do you enjoy working on the problems you work on?
Yeah, I enjoy working on this kind of problems because, like I always tell people, you just do something that you have fun doing. And I thank God I had it here from, what is his name again? I'm trying to remember. Yesterday he told us that when you want to do something, just do something that you have fun doing.
Elaine Aspect, did he?
No,
not Alain. I'm trying to remember his name actually. It's lost my memory, but he just emphasized that just do something that you have fun doing.
Yes. We've taken in a lot of information this week. We've met a lot of people. We've had a lot of conversations, and we've gotten very little sleep.
Yeah. So basically, I like it because it's something I enjoy doing.
Yes.
So it's at the end of the day, if I fail in the process, I kind of say I didn't waste my time because it's something I enjoy doing. Then if I succeed, then it's fine. We get the laurels.
Yes. And is there anything that you wish the public better understood about science?
I think they should understand that we're humans.
It's not always that obvious.
Yeah, because a lot of people think we know everything.
Yeah.
The Nobel laureates themselves said that when they got the prize, they got this imposter syndrome, but on steroids. So everyone thinks you know everything, but in a sense, we really pursue what we're interested in within all of science.
Exactly. So we were talking to William Phillips, 1997 Nobel laureate, earlier on, and we asked this kind of question. So how did your family kind of react to you winning the Nobel Prize? Do they see you like some demigod that they ask you any question and they expect some answers? And he said, no, we're humans. Like,
Yeah. And do you have anything else separate from that to add to that, Katie?
Well, that was just one of the big appeals to this meeting, I think, was talking to all these Nobel laureates and seeing this human aspect to them.
Yeah.
When you read about them, they seem like these superheroes, and they are, don't get me wrong, but when
Yeah.
you're talking to them, they're so down to earth, they're so personable, as are all of the other young scientists that are here. They're so bright, but you can have a conversation, whether it's about something really complicated in a really niche field in physics, or it's about where you went for breakfast that morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Katie, what are a couple highlights that you've had this week?
I had, there were a bunch.
Yeah.
Let me think. One of them was so they did these things called open exchanges where you get to ask questions to one of the Nobel laureates. And I went to Donna Strickland's talk, or her open exchange, and just the way she spoke. So most young scientists have imposter syndrome, guilty. And when I went to this open exchange, the things she said were really helpful. She just seemed like basically what Collins was saying, like, do what you enjoy. Life is short. You should really get into the meat of your research. And when I asked her experience with imposter syndrome, she was straight up, it got worse when she won the Nobel Prize. But when I asked her how she deals with it, she said straight up, she doesn't care. She was like, I don't care. I have imposter syndrome and I deal with it.
Okay. The open exchange, so there are many different kinds of sessions here. Each laureate typically gives a single 30-minute lecture during the course of the week, and those are all recorded and open to everyone that's here. This meeting is not open to the public, but there are journalists and there's staff like me and other staff. There are lectures like that, and then there are these Agora talks that are more like, usually maybe there's a couple laureates and it's maybe a moderator and it's a conversation. But the open exchanges are kind of special because no one is allowed in the room except the laureate and the young scientist. And no journalist, no other staff, no one else from the organization is allowed in the room and they're not recorded. And that's so you can discuss anything, because you don't just ask them about, you're talking about imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. You're not just talking about science at those open exchanges. You can ask about science, but you can ask about anything you want, and you have the privacy of no one's going to know about it. It's just between you and the laureates.
And I think it was at those talks that you really get to see this other layer to these incredible physicists.
Yeah, so I think what is more profound is the fact that in this open exchange, or let's say in the Lindau meeting, you get this opportunity to ask them any question. So it mustn't be sciences, actually. It's sometimes about life in general. So you imagine that once somebody asked William earlier on, what was the most, apart from the Nobel Prize, what other thing in your life was very profound and important to you? And he said, marrying my wife.
There you go.
So you see, it kind of gives you this human dimension of these guys.
But that's science. That's pair bonding. It may not be physics, but Collins, any other highlights for you?
So my highlight, the open exchange, and then the lunch with the laureate. So I had this lunch with David Weiland, and it's also an opportunity to ask him anything, and then talk to him about funny stuff and hear stories about his experience and how he got this prize and all of that. And then the other thing is the lectures actually are quite cool, and I will say I really enjoyed Tonzellinger. This is quite sentimental, and Tonzellinger and Elena Expect, these are quite sentimental decisions in the sense that they're actually in the area of my research. So the talks were quite well planned, and I think the bringing in about 35 Nobel laureates in a singular meeting actually is something that I don't know how to express, but This is actually one of the most biggest scientific meetings I've attended.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, let me.
I do have
please.
one more.
Yeah.
Also, like as incredible as the Nobel laureates are, meeting all of these young scientists, there are people from over 65 different countries here.
Over 90 this year.
Over 90.
90.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane to me. Like I've been to national, international conferences. This is just a whole other level.
Yeah, so the ability to connect culture. So I'm African, I'm Nigerian specifically. So the fact that I could see other Africans and I probably would not meet if I didn't come here. So I met other Africans, met people from different places, Israel, different places. And it's really, really something that I believe it will live in my heart for a long time.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And before I let you go back to the party that's inside there, a lot of people haven't heard of the Lindau Nobel Laureate meeting. So when you go home and your friends and family ask you, well, so where were you? What was this thing? How will you describe it? Katie, what is the Lindau Nobel Laureate meeting?
Well, I mean, you're taking some of the brightest minds in physics and other minds that could become some of the brightest minds in physics, and you're shoving them all in this building and just letting them interact and talk about something they love so much. And everyone can geek over their different subfields of physics, learn more about other subfields of physics. It's incredible, and I think everyone will be sick of me when I don't stop talking about this meeting.
Yeah, I want to slide around here just a little bit and see if not have such bright light behind us.
Okay.
Oh, it's bright everywhere. But, okay, Collins, what is the Lindau Nobel Laureate meeting?
Okay, for me, it's the meeting where experts meet with novice, So the young scientists are the novice and the experts are the Nobel laureates. So apparently it's not only about the young scientists interacting with the Nobel laureate. It's also an opportunity where the young scientists actually exchange ideas and also interact and network. So it's a meeting that brings the best of minds. Whether the young scientists, of course, they are best of minds for them to be selected. So it brings best of minds in a single place. I don't think this happens anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
And you know what? But I changed my mind. I almost forgot. Let's just talk about Sigma Xi for a second. Sigma Xi is the Scientific Research Honor Society.
Yes.
And so, what is it? So you're living in Malaysia, and you're
New York, but soon California.
we're in California.
Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, and you're members of Sigma Xi. How did that work? When did you join, and what does it mean?
Okay, so basically, Sigma Xi is a scientific research honor society. So you cannot just become a member randomly. So you have to be nominated or invited to become a member. So I was invited sometime last year around June, if my memory serves me right, and I joined as a full member. So I live in Malaysia, so you don't need to be, you can join from anywhere in the world. Sigma Xi is a reputable body that has about 200 Nobel laureates as members. And it has members spread across the world. So I live in Malaysia, for instance, and then interestingly, Sigma Xi recently struck this agreement with the Lindau Nobel laureate meetings so that they could also nominate young scientists to join this meeting. And luckily, I and Kudla are the inaugural nominees. So it's you don't need to be in the US for you to get these benefits. You can actually they also have several stuff that you could benefit from, like the grant in aid for research. You can apply from any part of the world. So this is it. So I am fully funded to attend this meeting from Sigma Xi. I've never seen Jamie before. I've never seen any of them.
Oh yeah, Jamie is the CEO, and Sigma Xi is also the publisher of American Scientist magazine. Not Scientific American, but American Scientist magazine. And it's a multidisciplinary organization, so it cuts across all sciences.
So it cuts across all science. So anyone can join. But then you just have to be nominated. So you must have been doing some kind of good science that you can be spotted or, I don't know how, scouted maybe.
Yeah.
And then you can be invited to join.
Well, that was pretty full. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Just that every year they have international conferences, and it was by attending this conference that I found this opportunity. I made some really great connections at that meeting. Very international, but I think they were one-upped this time. But I had some really great conversations and then was ultimately recommended to apply for this opportunity, and wouldn't be here today without all of the support from Sigma Xi. And they really, really made this an exciting and unintimidating experience.
Excellent. Well,
I'm sincerely grateful to Sigma Psi.
So thanks for taking the time to talk to me. We left to the middle of this dinner and party, and but we didn't miss too much, and
No.
we'll go back to
Yeah.
it. And congratulations, and
Thank
I hope
you.
you had a great week. And tomorrow is still a really fun, full day, so
Yes.
Sure.
it'll be fun.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
you.